I am so excited to be joining you again, Mr. Tremino.
Good to be with you again.
How has everything been going?
It's going. We're in the heat of it, right? Less than 30 days, we're running hard, um, building momentum and just trying to be active. So, and fighting the good fight like you are, I know.
Yeah, you're probably not sleeping very much right now.
No, zero.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you fighting the good fight and continuing to swing as you pretty much get really close to the conclusion of this race for recall on September 14th.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We're winding down. People have already gotten their ballots and started to vote. I want to thank everyone who has sent me a DM with their ballot filled out. I know many of you have already submitted your ballots, but we want to encourage all of you who have not voted yet to hold off, vote in person. That is the only way that we can increase the likelihood that your vote will count and matter. So thank you for all those that have voted. I know that some of you were going out of town and we're concerned about where you will be during, in September. So you had to cast your ballot by mail, and we just pray over those ballots and pray that they be counted and that there's, no fraudulent activity that takes place. But for those that have not voted or are waiting, just hold off. I know that you can vote as early as 10 days before September 14th. So we prefer that you vote in person, but thank you for all those who have already filled in the bubble and submitted your ballot.
Awesome. Well, that's what I wanted to kind of chat with you about was election integrity and where we're at now because we are receiving all
Yeah.
of these. And I was actually looking it up because I couldn't remember why we in California received mail-in ballots. And for those, I know that that's been a common question. So for those who are wondering, there was this June 23rd amendment. And at first, Newsom had tried to push this we would be a forever mail-in state. And he had done it under the guise of the state of emergency. And it actually was ruled unconstitutional, that he did not have the ability to meddle with laws that were already made. So then what they did was on June 23rd, there was this amendment that was pushed. It was the exact same day that the Secretary of State certified the recall ballot. And they decided to shorten the time that the recall would actually happen. And then it also mandated that every alleged registered voter would receive a vote by mail ballot. It set times for in-person voting centers, and it expanded access to the remote access vote by mail program. And so those were all done under this amendment on June 23rd. And then the provisions will expire on January 1st, 2022. So that's why we all are receiving mail-in ballots, was because of that amendment that was passed. So because we all have these ballots coming to us and they're in our mailbox, and we know that there are issues with, I always say, would you send a diamond ring in the mail? If you wouldn't, then why in the world would you send a vote? You know, it's valuable. It's a precious thing to be able to vote in our democracy. So I think the question is, what do we do now? How do we secure our vote and ensure as much as we can voter election integrity with these ballots that are coming? What do you think?
Yeah, so again, I want to reiterate, for those of you that have already submitted your ballot via mail, thank you for your vote. But for those that haven't, what we want to do is we want to vote in person. So you want to take your ballot to a voting location and you want to surrender that ballot. And you want to ask them for a new paper ballot, and you want to actually vote in person and on paper. Now, there are some of you, even in the comments, that are saying you're going to drive in your ballot. The problem with that is that the moment you put your ballot in an envelope, you are now giving somebody the right to open up that envelope, to review your ballot, to determine whether or not it's legible, and they have the power and ability to remake your ballot. During the presidential election, there were 600,000 ballots remade in San Diego alone. I don't know about you, but I refuse to believe that there were 600,000 people that couldn't fill out their name or color in a bubble. But those ballots were remade and submitted on those voters' behalf. And so what we want to do is minimize the risk. So you're going to take your ballot, you're going to show up to a voting location, you're going to surrender that ballot, and then they're going to give you two options. You want to vote by computer in person or on a paper ballot. Vote on a paper ballot. Do not use the computer either. Take a new ballot, fill it out, submit that. If they tell you that they have run out of paper ballots, go to another voting location. Do not then just default to the computer voting. You should vote in person and on a paper ballot.
And I think another important thing is to make sure, when I was an inspector at polls, something that's really crucial when ballots are surrendered is it needs to be spoiled in front of you. So when you take your ballot in that's going to come in the mail, it's a very important step that you watch and make sure that it is spoiled. That means they mark it like this, or they shred it, or they cut it, and it needs to be done in front of you before they hand you a new official ballot. So that's a really important step.
And make sure it's done on both sides.
Yes, yes. Why don't you talk to us a little bit? I know you were, I don't know if you were involved with, but you were talking to the election integrity project out here in California. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I did see today that they still have opportunities to get involved with being a part of that. And really, it's just this active team building network that's regional, county, community levels, and it's nonpartisan, but it's a critical grassroots movement that is designed to ensure integrity in our elections in California. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So we had the good fortune of partnering with Election Integrity Project of California. Everybody should write that down, EIP-CA.com, Election Integrity Project California. These guys are tip of the spear with regards to fighting for voter integrity. They have several lawsuits filed at a local level, state level. They are exposing voter fraud and educating people on voter integrity. You got to find out what they're doing. There's about 8 or 9 different stages in the voting process where something could go wrong. You can go onto their website, download information, their PowerPoint. It'll tell you how to secure your votes, how to ensure election integrity. You can get involved, you can volunteer. Incredible organization, and Linda Payne is leading the effort with that organization. Amazing woman, freedom fighter, and everyone should visit and figure out how you can get involved.
Awesome. And you know what I'm going to have you do, Anthony, since this is hosted on your live, since I couldn't get you to go live on mine, is make sure that when we get off, you download this video. And then when you post it, I'll have you send it to me too, but I'll post it. And then I'm going to post links to all of this for you guys. So once I upload it onto my page, you'll have the link to the Election Integrity Project. And then I'm also going to link just the article that I was quoting from earlier regarding the amendment, and then the benefits of voting in person versus voting by mail and the concerns with voting by mail. Just if you have anyone that's been asking you about this, those are 2 good sources to be able to share to encourage people to vote in person. I think that especially in this election, it's crucial that we do everything we can to make sure that our votes count.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I had some questions come in, and just as we finish out this time together, I wanted to run through just kind of like some rapid fire questions. Would you be good with that?
Yeah, of course. Let's go.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say again, because I don't know if it was on this one or the first live that we started, but I have fully endorsed you. And from my perspective, and at this stage of the game, being born and raised in California, I am done playing games of popularity and getting caught up in that. I think that a lot of times conservatives get trapped into this mindset of playing Monday morning quarterback before the game has even started. So we're playing this game of, well, who are they voting for, and who is that group endorsing? And we get so caught up in the mind games of this popularity. And while there is some sense of that strategy working for general elections, a recall election is different. And I know that we've talked about that, but maybe you'd want to share a little bit about how a recall actually works, because I know that there is still some confusion about the questions on the ballot and who Gavin Newsom is actually up against, and then how question 2 works.
Yeah, so I posted a video about this a couple of days ago. You can check it out on my Instagram. But in short, What's different, this is not a general election. This is a special election. This is a recall election. So the traditional rules don't apply. So I always ask people when I'm in front of large groups, how many people are running against Gavin Newsom, and you get any numbers shouted out at you, 40, 46. There are 46 gubernatorial candidates on the ballot, but not a single one of them is running against Gavin Newsom. So question number one on the ballot, and if you've received the ballot, you can verify this for yourself. Question number one is, question number one is, do you wish to recall Gavin Newsom, yes or no? Notice on that question, there's not another candidate, not another option. There's just a yes or no. What that means is Gavin Newsom is vying for his seat up against the voters of California. So it's Gavin Newsom versus the voters of California. Only us as voters, not gubernatorial candidates, but only us as California voters have the ability to unseat Gavin Newsom. So a yes answer on question number one, if enough of us, 50% plus one of the voting population goes out and votes yes, the guy's gone. There's an empty seat in Sacramento. It did not take another candidate. It did not take a popular candidate. It didn't take anybody other than us, the California voter, to unseat him. When you get to question number two, notice that of the 46 gubernatorial candidates running, Gavin Newsom isn't an option. And the assumption is he's already been unseated in question number one because we voted yes. And so you get to pick between the 46 gubernatorial candidates running, and you no longer have to choose, like in a general election, the popular candidate. You don't have to choose the candidate that has the most mainstream media coverage. You can actually vote your conscience. You could actually vote for somebody that you feel will uphold not only your policies, but your principles and core values as well. I believe that God gave us a unique opportunity with this recall because we have an opportunity to put somebody in place that stands on true conservative biblical values, somebody that actually is prepared for the job. And when we think about what that looks like, right? What does that look like? Who should we hire for this job? Well, I think there are three fundamental pre-qualifications. Number one, the individual should know how to run a company. California is the fifth or sixth largest economy on the planet. We're not just electing a governor, we're electing a CEO. So you need to make sure that the candidate that you want to put forth could actually do that particular job. The next qualification is the biggest fight we're fighting right now for our families and our children: medical freedoms, vaccine mandates, masks, critical race theory. So what do you need? You need someone that's going to fight for family, someone that's going to fight for your children. You're going to want to elect a candidate that understands how to fight that fight at a personal level. So make sure this person is a family person that understands what it's like to be a parent and they could fight at a very personal level. The third qualification in my mind is somebody that understands what's at stake. This is a spiritual battle as much as it's a political battle. We need someone that will fight for our churches, fight to keep them open, fight for hardcore conservative biblical values. And in order to do that, you have to find someone that is unwavering, that has been consistent, and will stand for those conservative values and not compromise. And for me, those are the three qualifications that need to be met before we put forth any candidate on question number two.
Absolutely. And that is where I am at this stage, being a Californian all my life and getting to a place really after SB 276 and 714 passed, where everything started to kind of shift, and then going into all the lockdowns and the duplicity coming from Newsom, my husband and I really started to consider moving our family outside of California. And we came to a place where it's like, we're not leaving, we're going to stay and we're going to fight. But if I'm going to stay and fight, this is where I stand on, because I get a lot of pushback on, why are you not endorsing the most popular candidate? And I'll tell you why. Because I was boots to the ground back July 4th a year ago when we were in this recall process and getting signatures. I was going and I was getting hundreds of signatures. I was an advocate for getting Newsom out. I did my work for the freedom for people to choose the next candidate for governor. I don't owe anyone my support. I, at this stage of the game, am completely committed to voting on my convictions and my values. I did my work to allow all the candidates equal opportunity. And then once they were given equal opportunity, I chose, based on my convictions and values, to endorse you for governor of California. I don't have to play popularity games, and I'm not going to. And additionally, and I think this is really important for people to realize, is that the strategy of the California Democratic Party, and I've talked about this, is a huge opportunity for us conservative voters to come in and fill the void. What they are advocating for is to vote no on the recall and then to leave the second question blank. And that creates a vacuum because they are not endorsing any candidate for governor in the pool of 46 candidates. So this really is a historic opportunity for us conservative voters who value critical values that we want to see embodied in our governor of California. He doesn't have to be a pastor, but we align with values that are Judeo-Christian in our beliefs. And this is an opportunity for us to see that person in the role of governor of California. We've never been afforded an opportunity before where the California Democratic Party is literally like, peace, we're not going to endorse anyone, good luck. That vacancy gives us an amazing opportunity to contend for our values and what we stand most convicted on, and to vote that way and to not get caught up in the Monday morning quarterback or popularity game. So that's where I stand, and I have addressed that so many times, but I think it's really important to make that very crystal clear, that both based on strategy, where we are in our state, and who I am as a conservative, I think that we have to stop playing the games that we're told to play, especially in a special election like this, which is why I am so excited to endorse you. And you know that what you stand for, your core principles on faith, family, and freedom, keeping businesses open, transforming education. There's so many things that you check every box for me. So that's why I'm voting for you. And none of the other candidates that I watched or I interviewed checked every box. And so why would I endorse a candidate who doesn't at this point? So that's where I'm at. And that's why I endorse Anthony Trimino for California governor.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know you've done your homework. Everybody watching this, I don't think anybody has vetted to the extent that I've seen you vet publicly and openly and diligently and fairly. And so I know that, you didn't land on that decision lightly. I know that you take it seriously. I know that your followers take it seriously, your leadership. I think the biggest thing the biggest thing that we as conservatives or believers need to kind of like dig our heels on is we do not have to compromise. And I think that is the word of the day. The word of the election is compromise. There are so many good people who are compromising to various levels because they're following what they believe to be their logic and intellect. We live in troubling times, unprecedented times. And so we are looking for unprecedented solutions. And we can't just go based on traditional logic or mindset. We can't compromise. We are no longer, we're in this position because of so many compromises we made over time. This is the time, this is the hill, this is when we are called to basically be uncompromising in our beliefs. And we have a unique opportunity to actually go out in an uncompromising way and do things that are noble and just and right and change the trajectory of California for good and forever.
Well, let's get to some of these questions so that we can kind of buzz through. A bunch of questions came in. I had hundreds, so I narrowed it down to ones that either I feel like haven't been addressed or ones that people really want to hear you clearly state your position on. So, okay, this is a good one. Yesterday, there was a debate. I think 3 of the candidates were in it, and Cox and Faulconer all 3 of them were asked about their position on the injections in California and what they think. All 3 said that they had received it, and Cox and Faulconer, which I'm fine with. If you want to receive it, go for it. Like, do your thing. But here's what I want to ask you about is Cox and Faulconer said that they received it and they would highly encourage Californians to receive it. Kiley said he wasn't sure if that was the governor's position. What say you? What are your thoughts on vaccine mandates in California?
Yeah, I think vaccine mandates are the first thing that needs to go. So we've said this on day one, we lift the state of emergency, taking power away from local government to impose unnecessary mandates, both mask and vaccines, eliminate conversations around vaccine passports and verifications, and then lift the mandates on our healthcare workers, our teachers, and our students. Look, it's very difficult for somebody to come into office that has already gotten the shot and really advocate for people who are either on the fence or don't want it. And especially when they're promoting the fact that they will use the office of the governor to actually not only promote it, but encourage it. I think that's what, if you think about what the federal government's position right now will be that they're encouraging it, strongly encouraging it. The problem is when you encourage it, you're basically taking a side of the line, right? When you're encouraging it, that means that you believe that it should be done, and you'll use your platform, your leverage, and the office to actually push for it. I think what we need to do is government needs to back out of that conversation. Government needs to educate you, give you the information that you need so that you can have intelligent conversations with your doctor, your physician, your family, and make the best decision for you and your household. I would not encourage it. I wouldn't discourage it. I would toe the line of giving you the information you need to make the decision for your family.
What about, I know you kind of addressed this in the answer you just said, but what about first responders, teachers, doctors, nurses, the mandate coming down from California that they must receive the injection in order to have a job? What would your position be as governor of California?
Not on my watch. The government has no authority over telling you what you should put into your body, and we shouldn't impose those mandates on government workers because we have control over their paychecks.
So would you immediately remove that requirement? What would you intangibly do?
I can't get to office fast enough to remove that. I would immediately remove that mandate, and it would never cross my desk again. There is no way on earth that as governor, I would impose any mandates on any free society. That's not American.
Okay, what about the question of being bought out? We have such a huge issue in California of politicians being bought out left and right. We saw that at the French Laundry with Gavin Newsom. How would you guarantee, and what would your safeguards be so that you, as governor of California, would not be bought out?
Because I've already bought myself out. I'm self-made, I'm successful. I'm not going into Sacramento because it's a promotion for me. Look, if you're a politician, the idea of becoming governor is a promotion. You make more money, and it's a promotion in stature. If you're a celebrity, it's good content, whether you win or lose. You know, if you lose, you have 6 months to a year worth of content. You can document how unfair the system was. If you win, I mean, you know, you have content for years. I have absolutely no reason to be doing this. I cannot be bought because I have no interest other than going into office and giving back the freedoms and liberties that have been taken from us by government. These are God-given inalienable rights that no one has the ability to strip from us. And so I can't be bought because, again, I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm self-made. I'll go in there, do what I need to do, and then pass the baton off to somebody who's relevant at that time to serve the people in that way.
Let's talk about forensic audit in California. Is that something you would look into, especially as a CEO? What are your thoughts on that?
It's absolutely necessary. That would be day 2 stuff. So we'll address the medical freedom issues on day 1. Day 2 is let's go and conduct an audit, an open, fair, transparent public audit on everything from our spending to, you know, just government itself and how we're running different programs. An audit is critically important, and it's something that a CEO clearly understands needs to be done. A CEO understands how to do it, how to conduct it, how to make it transparent and public, and that's exactly what I'll do.
What about your thoughts on California as a sanctuary state? Especially because, for those of you who don't know, you are the grandson of an immigrant who fled the communist takeover in Cuba and landed here in California. So what are your thoughts on California as a sanctuary state, especially given the huge immigration crisis in our state?
We need strong borders and strong immigration laws. And I say that as a grandson of an immigrant who came to this country legally and became a U.S. citizen. I say this to people all the time. Even heaven has gates. What does that mean? It means that we need to be a welcoming country. California needs to be a welcoming state, but process and protocol that needs to happen. And so we wouldn't be a sanctuary state under my watch.
How will you tackle gas prices, DMV fees, state taxes, basically just all the money that our state takes from us? How would you tackle that?
Our governor is unfairly taxing us because he doesn't know how to spend, or he's overspending, and he doesn't know how to run California like a business. So we would roll back. My plan is to eliminate income tax. It's a $181 billion delta. I've figured out how to get 90 billion of it by monetizing California. That's before I open the books. We start renegotiating our contracts. We kill projects that are not benefiting Californians. And so I'll find the money. That's what I do well. I'll find the money so that we can start to roll back our taxes, income and state taxes and gas taxes and sales taxes. Again, taxes are a byproduct of mismanagement of funds, and we have a mismanagement of funds because we don't have a CEO running our state.
Which is actually one of the higher convincing things about you for me when I was looking at the candidates who there are running for governor. One of the high marks was your background. So can you share that a little bit, just in a nutshell, where you come from?
Yeah, so I mean, in the business world, I started a company 20 years ago in a small little 200 square foot office, built it to be one of the fastest growing companies in America as named by Inc. magazine. I did it in 2019 and 2020. 2020, my industry collapsed. 80% of ad agencies across the world went through 3 layoffs. Many of them closed their doors, never to reopen. It imploded on itself. And during 2020, we had our best year. We tripled our footprint, doubled our staff, and didn't lay anyone off. The ability to actually survive during a global pandemic would be huge. But the fact that we not only survived but thrived, had our biggest year, and were able to navigate those murky waters means that I understand how to actually right the ship. And I'm looking forward to getting in office and actually doing what somebody needs to do, which is looking at California as a business and running it accordingly.
Okay, 2 more questions for you, and then we will close out. I always love chatting with you. But first question is, we have a massive wildfire problem. We have a huge, horrible fire raging up north, and just so sad. And I have been evacuated multiple times where I live in San Diego. So this is an ongoing problem in California. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have a water issue too. What are your thoughts about how you would combat both of those very serious problems facing our state?
Yeah, I think one is money and one is management. So if you look at fires, you talk to fire departments, they're understaffed, they don't have the appropriate equipment, we're not conducting enough controlled burns, and so we'll immediately address that. We're going to reappropriate funds to our fire departments, expand our fire departments. We're going to equip them with the equipment that they need to actually combat fires. We're going to do more controlled burns and actually address it. The reason why we're facing a lot of these problems is because California and government as a whole, they're reactionary. And so they're reacting to problems. But a CEO, businessman, is proactive, right? You basically, for 20 years, we've been working with the healthcare community to implement, preventative measures. Keeping people healthier is cheaper, less expensive than treating them when they're sick. Well, you apply that same thing to fires. Investing the money in up front will not only help us, protect our land from being set on fire, but ultimately it'll ensure that we have protection measures in place so that we're not reactionary. And when fires do happen, we can address them quicker and more conveniently. As far as water is concerned, I was in Central California this last week and talking to farmers. We don't have a water shortage problem. We have a water management problem. Our farmers are 100% of their water. They're getting 5%. A stroke of a pen on day one will actually give farmers the water that they need. We have 5th, 6th generation farmers who are not certain that they're going to pass that farm on to the 7th generation. Again, it's a water management problem. And when we look at water, we look at energy. I have the opportunity to work with innovators in the energy field that are bringing forth the latest technology, ways in which to generate energy cheaper, But because of regulations, we're sending that technology to Mexico. Mexico is installing one of the biggest energy plants in the world right now. Solar power, turning it into hydrogen power, and the byproduct of that is atomic water, which is clean water. We're going to lift those regulations, allow companies like that to operate here. We're going to create our own power. We're going to create sustainable water, and we're going to do so by lifting regulations.
Yeah, the regulations in California are out of control.
Yeah.
And that would also apply to, I'm just going to parlay that into a quasi final question, but the Second Amendment. So that would be, we have a highly, highly regulated industry when it comes to our right to have arms in California. This question comes up as often as medical freedom for me. So why don't you just address, I know you put out the clip, but why don't you address specifically your position on the Second Amendment and how you would change, if you would, our view and our policies on the Second Amendment in California?
Yeah, I think every American needs to look closely at the Second Amendment, especially here in California, how significant and important it is and why it was given to us. So right now in Cuba, I always say there's a nation of individuals fighting a very heavily armed military with no weapons. They're protecting themselves with sticks. When Castro took over Cuba on day one, he accounted for all the bullets and guns that existed in the nation, and he stripped the people of their arms. He did that strategically because he knew that a nation that wasn't equipped to protect themselves wouldn't protect themselves. And so we need to protect the Second Amendment at all costs. There are 111 gun laws in California, and we have a growing gun roster that's intended to tell you what type of guns you can and should own. We'd roll back those laws. I'd like to eliminate the majority, if not all of them, and minimize the gun roster so that we're more consistent with other states. But fundamentally, if you look at what's happening in Australia, you look at what's happening in Cuba, you look at what's happening around the world, if we allow the government to violate our Second Amendment, we're going to end up in a position where the only thing that we have to protect ourselves is our voice. And that's not going to serve anybody well when people are unlawfully imposing their tyrannical, laws and restrictions on a free society. So I am so for Second Amendment. I've purchased more guns in the last 12 months than I have in my entire life. I believe everyone should go out and do the same. We need to arm ourselves, protect ourselves from all threats, foreign and domestic.
Absolutely agree. And we also purchased more guns than ever before, and ammo, because gosh dang it, ammo is really, really hard to get these days. Anthony, I want to thank you so much for taking the time again. For those of you who came in toward the end, Anthony, I'm going to have you when I log off because we had to switch over to you hosting it. Make sure you download and post it, and then I can just grab it from you that way. And then I will repost this with the links that we covered regarding all things election integrity, because it really is important. Again, I highly, highly encourage everybody to walk your ballot in, take it with you, surrender it, make sure it is spoiled in front of you. That is so important. Make sure it's shredded or fully demarked in front of you, and then take a paper ballot and vote there in person. Vote yes on the recall. This is the election of histories for our state. And then again, I personally endorse Anthony Tremino for governor of California. If you want to learn more about him, I know so many questions were coming in that we just don't have time to address. I have interviewed you now twice, and then those are both posted in my bookmarks on Rooted_Wings on Instagram. And then you can also go to your website, which is www.anthonytremino.com, and you have such an easy to navigate website where you can really get to know his values, convictions, his history, all of those really important things. And then, so lastly, my encouragement is to vote on convictions this recall. We are afforded such an amazing opportunity in California right now to do that and to not get caught up in playing Monday morning quarterback or popularity. So that's my encouragement. That's what I am doing, and I stand firmly in my decision to do that. I refuse to play the games in California anymore. I think our state is too valuable to keep up that kind of a game. So My final question to you as we close out is why should we vote Anthony Trimino for California governor?
Because of those three prerequisites I said, California needs a CEO as much as it needs a governor. California also needs somebody fighting for our families and our children that will take it personal. I will, 26 years married, 5 children, 4 biological, 1 adopted. We were foster care parents for a season of our life. I get it. It's real to me. I still have a daughter in the public school system. I have a dog in this fight. I have skin in the game. And then I think that we need somebody that is uncompromising on our core conservative biblical values. This is not just a political fight. This is a spiritual fight happening in California. So you guys don't have to compromise. You vote yes on question number 1, vote your heart, vote your values on question number 2. I hope that it's me. If not, make sure that the candidate that you do choose aligns with all of your values. This is not just about policy, but this is about principles and values as well. This is our chance. It's not going to come again. This is our stand. We need to take it. So no compromise.
No compromise. I agree. And I think that's a perfect ending. I wish you the best of luck. We are going to be praying for you. And we are so excited to surrender our ballots and to mark on paper Anthony Tremino for California governor. And again, just encourage you all to check out the links that I'm going to post below this once I do upload it. You can check out the Election Integrity Project. And I'm also going to share the, if you came on later, that the site so you can see just the pros and cons to voting in person versus voting by mail, because it is important. We want to make our voices heard, and that's through our democratic process of voting. So Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. I always appreciate talking to you, and we'll be praying for you.
Awesome. All right. We'll talk soon.
See you later. Bye.